Hey, what's up, Aidan? This is a quick demo video for you for your KR Luke. I just got this done. I was waiting on my speakers to come in, and that was the last thing I needed to do. So I got this all done, got all your fonts loaded onto this guy. It's working really well, so I want to go over it with you. This demo is going to be a little bit different than what I usually do because I don't have a recessed blade. We made this specific to your recessed blade, so that stock PCB in there is exactly 0.44 inches up from the bottom of this blade socket. And then the pins obviously are sticking up as far, that much further than the pins go. But you'll get all that spring load as soon as you put your blade in and lock it down with a blade retention. We talked about that extensively, got that all shaved down. I did have to go in there in that little metal cup that's used to hold in-hilt LEDs. I went down and I shaved that off to where it was, same distance as your PCB in there, and then file it down a little bit. It's nice and neat. The blade fits in there tight. I've got a 1-inch blade stock that I put in here. Is 0.06 inches thick. It fit in there really snug, but it fit. You might need to sand your blade just a tad, or if you've been using it for a while, chances are you've sanded it anyway, so no worries there. You don't use the buttons, 2 black buttons on this guy, as you know. Your activation is right here under the clamp, and your auxiliary is right here. Now, while this will slide off, I do have a little something in the middle here to keep this on. So it's not going to slide off on you unless you really want it to. And then it goes on a certain way. I use brass tactile switches under here on the switch PCB. And so if you slide this off, you need to remember that this side goes on the back. Because if you try to slide this off and flip it around and slide it back in, it's not going to fit right. I had to do a lot of modifications to the bottom of this card to make sure that those 2 brass tactiles worked like they should. So just remember that. Remember the orientation of this guy. You should never even need to take this off. Let's put it that way, right? This comes apart in 2 pieces. First piece is going to be right here. We can take this grenade section off. And in this grenade section is where I put your removable battery. So the spring side right here is going to be your negative side of your battery. I put a 7-pin PCB in here that makes connection with, I've got a blade side PCB in there, and then that in turn is connected to your stocks here. So everything goes in, makes connection with each other, and that's how you light this guy up. But you get to have a removable battery. So that's that part. Then we can also take this part off when you want to get to your board. If you don't want to get to your board, there's really no need to even take this off. But what I did here was I made a removable speaker. Take this off carefully so I don't drop it. So that will come off. You'll see this sticking out. You can just pull this right out. That's your 28mm premium speaker, your bass speaker. It's got your speaker PCB right there. And then in here, you can see the 2 pogo pins that this lines up with. And then you have access to your SD card and your micro USB for your Proffie board. And I've done everything numerous times from here. It's very easy to do. Pull out that SD card with a pair of tweezers, put it right back. I've got 2 types of micro USB data cables, but even my fat one fit in here nice and fine, right? So when you're all done with there, we just put the speaker back in first. And then you're going to see it's a little bit smaller than that diameter of the pommel because it fits the diameter of this guy. So this goes right over that speaker, screws in, and when this screws all the way in, it actually holds the speaker in place. Couple threads, lock it in. Speaker's nice and it's held up against those pins, makes perfect contact. So we're going to take a battery and throw it in. Just remember, spring side is your negative.
I'm from the Resistance. Your sister Leia sent me. We need your help.
I'm going to screw this on. And while I screw this on, you can see your LEDs. Right? So your LEDs are working. Like I told you in the messages, you sent me a pair of LED triangles, a red and green triangle. I did not use those because they are way too small for this guy. And then when you sent me the PCB for the actual switches here, it came with a red and green square LED that I put in that PCB, and that's what's behind these windows right now. So if you want acrylic pieces in front of those windows, you're going to need to source those, because it was not part of what you sent me, or the piece that you did send me didn't work. So you do have motion controls. Flash on flash. You do have battle mode on this, so when you have a blade and you lock the blade and hold it in place, it's kind of hard to do without one. You hold it in place, it will make that blade lock up, and then you pull away, it will disengage blade lock up. Auxiliary is in the front. If you want your force effects, you just hold down for a second on your power and then let go. Or if you just tap your power, you can turn it off. And then we can turn it on with this too, just tap it. Then we change our sound fonts with the auxiliary.
Captain Crow, you're being relieved of duty.
So you gave me quite a few sound fonts.
You are hard to find.
And this one has an unstable because it's Kylo Ren. We could twist off if we want. You gave me quite a few sound fonts. I don't remember exactly how many. I think there was 14. So some of these will have a simple blade.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Some of these will have an actual blade style from Fett's library. Sounds really good. It's really solid.
I'm a Jedi, like my father before me.
You got the cannon green on the loop that you asked me for. That's a yellow for the Ray.
Second, sister.
Go through a couple of these just so you can. Supreme Leader.
Kylo Ren.
So because you had a red for the Supreme Leader, I went with a blue for the other Kylo Ren, just as like, you know, towards the last of Rise of Skywalker when he gets the saber from Rey. You can change that if you want, but that's just what I did initially. We're in a stock font.
Smooth, smooth, smooth. Smooth, smooth.
We'll just skip right over those.
Smooth.
Emperor.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker. But you are not a Jedi yet.
Now this is pod racing.
So, as you can see, we kind of, I don't know if I hit them all, but we cycled through quite a bit. You can see that everything's working well. I gave you the same LED profile on every sound font. This is meant to emulate the cave scene from Return of the Jedi. If you don't like that, you could change it, but you know, they're all the same when it comes to the sequences of the red and green LEDs here. And then to just take your battery out, we just simply unscrew this guy. You don't have to, but I usually like to put my hand here and just hang on to it, right? Hang on to the chassis, hang on to the Sabre. You can come in here with your finger and pop the battery right out. It comes right out. And then we'll just slide this back in. Everything's nice and solid. I hope this came out the way you liked. If you got any questions, let me know. If not, this is going out in the mail to you tomorrow. Thanks, man.